Have you ever seen a man love someone so deeply that he buys her a brand new home? Follow the touching story of James, a successful CEO, and Diep, a simple girl, to witness how true love can transform a life in the most beautiful way. James, a successful CEO, has always watched over Diep, a humble girl living in an old wooden shack through rainy and stormy days. Seeing her endure hardship, he decides to do something special to change her life. On the one-year anniversary of their official relationship, James secretly buys Diep a new house, warm and full of love. From surprise to deep emotion, Diep cannot believe her life could change so much from one heartfelt gesture. The house is not just a shelter, but a symbol of enduring love and James's deep care. This story is a testament to the power of love and perseverance, showing that no matter how tough the starting point is, true love will always open the door to a brighter future. If you enjoy inspiring stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exciting videos coming up. It had been raining for 3 days straight. Cold winds whistled through the cracks in the small wooden hut, nestled quietly among thick bushes. The old tin roof, rusted and punctured in places, let water drip steadily into a pot Diep had placed beneath it. In the dim glow of a flickering oil lamp, she wrapped herself tightly in a thin blanket, curling up by the nearly extinguished fire. Her face looked tired and pale, her eyes dark with exhaustion from too many restless nights. Yet, in those eyes, there was still a faint glimmer, perhaps of resilience, perhaps of hope. This hut had been her home for over a year, ever since she left the city in search of peace in a remote countryside. With no money, no family nearby, she built this shelter herself out of scrap wood and leftover tin sheets from abandoned construction sites. On sunny days, the hut turned into a furnace. When it rained, water flooded the floor, and she had to scoop it out with pots and buckets. Despite the hardship, Diep never complained. She was used to being alone, used to enduring, and always reminded herself that as long as she lived with integrity, happiness would eventually come. Her phone vibrated softly. A message from James. Just a short line. Go to bed early, don't let yourself get cold. Heavy rain tonight. Diep looked at the screen, a faint smile tugging at her lips. James, the only person who still messaged her every day, checking in about the smallest things. They had met by chance through a charity project a year ago. From awkward small talk, their conversations grew into something deeper. They shared stories of past wounds, unfulfilled dreams. Though James was a CEO, living in the city surrounded by luxury and chaos, he always made time to listen to Diep, the girl who lived so simply in a world far removed from his own. James had offered several times to bring her to live with him in the city, but Diep always gently refused. It wasn't that she didn't trust him, she just wasn't ready to abandon the life she had built with her own 2 hands, fueled by pride and quiet strength. Even in poverty, she wanted to stand on her own, not relying on anyone, not even the man she loved. But the photos Diep had recently sent, the soaked blankets, her belongings raised off the floor to avoid flooding, the smoky fire crackling under wind-blown rain, made James's heart ache. He couldn't bear to see the woman he loved endure such suffering. The more he saw, the more he understood. To love someone isn't just to stand by her when she smiles, but to do something when you see her quietly hurting. And so, he began to plan. A gift, not just an act of help, but a gift rooted in true love, a house. A place that would be warm, safe, and the beginning of a new chapter in Diep's life. Their one-year anniversary was approaching. James knew he wouldn't let it pass like any other ordinary day. He would make it a turning point, for both him and the woman he loved. The sun broke through after many days of rain. The first rays of light filtered through the leaves, casting golden beams along the red dirt road leading to the outskirts of the city. James stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the collar of his shirt, his gaze contemplative yet filled with excitement. Today wasn't about a major business meeting or signing $1 million contract. It was something far more personal, far more meaningful. 1 year since he and Diep officially began their relationship, a bond filled with challenges but even more love. He had invited her to a small restaurant on the edge of the city. Not a lavish, dazzling place, but a cozy, quiet space lit by candles and soft music. When Diep walked in, James was momentarily stunned. She was dressed simply, a modest white dress, carefully ironed, her hair tied neatly, and a gentle smile like the breeze of early spring. "Happy 1-year anniversary," James said as she sat down. He handed her a bouquet of light purple lavender, the flower she once told him she loved for its calming scent and peaceful aura. Diep accepted it with a shy smile, her thin but radiant face lighting up. After dinner, James glanced at his watch and leaned in. "There's somewhere I want to take you." "This late?" Diep asked, surprised. "Just 20 minutes. Will you come with me?" Throughout the drive, Diep kept asking where they were going, but James only smiled, offering no hint. When the car turned onto a tree-lined path, a strange feeling stirred in her chest. And then, in front of her appeared a lovely little house, 2 stories, painted warm cream, with red roof tiles and a white fence surrounding a flower-filled garden. The soft yellow glow from the windows made it look like something out of a dream. "What are we doing here?" Diep asked, her voice as gentle as the breeze. James stopped the car, turned to her with a deep, steady gaze. "I bought this house for you," he said. Diep froze. "For me?" "Yes. Not out of pity. Not in exchange for anything. But because I love you. And I can't bear the thought of you spending another day in that cold, wooden shack." Diep was speechless. She stared at the house, it all felt surreal. "I know you're strong," James continued. But from now on, I don't want you to just keep enduring. I want you to truly live. To be warm. To feel safe." She turned to him, eyes glistening with tears. "But I don't deserve this." James gently squeezed her hand. "You don't need to deserve anything. You just need to be happy. That's all I want." Diep lowered her head. Emotions flooded through her, though she tried to hold back the tears. Not because of the gift itself, but because of the sincere heart sitting in front of her, the one who had silently loved and protected her, day by day, throughout the past year. The wind rustled through the trees, carrying the scent of wildflowers and fresh grass. Before them stood a little house, and just behind it, an entire future slowly beginning to unfold. After James opened the door, Diep stepped into the house in an unusual silence. She ran her hand along the walls and stairs, as if wanting to make sure everything was real. The house carried a modern breath yet kept a rustic, cozy charm, just like her personality. Every corner was carefully arranged, a reading chair by the window, a brown wooden shelf displaying old books, a framed dried lavender pressed on the wall. "I picked out every item myself," James said from behind her. "I imagined you waking up each morning, coming downstairs to make tea, sitting by the window reading. I want this place to be a real home, not just a shelter." Diep turned to look at him. Tears welled up, but she bit her lip to stay calm. "You thought of me so much," her voice trembled slightly. James nodded and stepped closer. "Every time I saw you coming home in the rain, standing in the cold wind blowing through thin wooden walls, my heart ached. I wanted to do something, not to prove anything, but simply because I love you. You deserve to live better. And if I can, I want to be the one to give you that." Diep looked straight into his eyes. That gaze had never made her doubt throughout the entire year. James's love for her wasn't like fireworks, it was a quiet, warm, and enduring light. It was gentle enough to soothe all wounds but strong enough to hold her steady through life's storms. "I once thought I would get used to loneliness, poverty, and silence," she whispered, "but then you came. And everything changed." James smiled and stepped closer, holding her trembling hands. "I don't promise you a life without storms," he said. "But I promise, wherever you go, whatever you do, I will always be by your side to face it all with you." Diep could no longer hold back. Tears quietly streamed down, but these were tears of happiness. She threw herself into his arms, hugging him tightly as if afraid that letting go would make everything vanish like a dream. Outside, the spring wind began to rustle through the small garden. The new buds swayed to nature's melody, as if celebrating a new beginning. In that house, there was no wedding bell, no flying bouquets, no dazzling white dress, but there was a promise, a loving heart, and a house that had truly become a home. James held her hand and led her out to the balcony on the second floor. From there, the whole valley stretched before them, peaceful, lush, and vast. "Do you want to start over, with me, right here?" he asked seriously. Diep looked at him for a long time, then gently nodded. She didn't need any more fancy words. Just being with him, a man patient enough to wait, loving enough to understand, was enough. And so, in the gentle afternoon breeze, under the sunset-colored sky, a new chapter began, not marked by wedding bells, but by a quiet, profound, and enduring union. The story between James and Diep truly touches my heart with its simplicity yet profound depth. The love in this story is not about flowery words or grand gestures, but about silent care, understanding, and enduring patience. James is not just the man who gives a house, he symbolizes sacrifice and the desire to protect the one he loves from life's hardships. Diep, despite her difficult circumstances, remains strong and hopeful, showing the power of faith and human resilience. The story also demonstrates that material things aren't everything. Genuine love and companionship are the true foundations for building real happiness. What impresses me most is the transformation from loneliness and poverty in that old wooden shack to a new home filled with light and joy. It serves as a reminder that everyone deserves to be loved and to have a better life. This story is a wonderful inspiration about the power of love and kindness in today's world.